Greetings, YouTube. This is episode 27 of TEW 2016, WWE Red vs. Blue, and we are live from Monday Night Raw, which is the fallout of WWE Fall Brawl, which happened just last night in game time, which was the first Raw exclusive pay-per-view of the brand split. And the show is being held in front of 10,899 people at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. And we kick off the show with Seth Rollins coming out to the ring, and he gets on the mic and he once again calls out Triple H. He tells him that, he's tired of all these games and he wants to face Triple H right here, right now, especially after last night, how Triple H basically distracted Seth Rollins and caused him and Finn Balor to lose the match in the main event last night to Ryback and Drew McIntyre. And this brings out Finn Balor, and he comes to the ring, and he, confronts Seth, and he questions what happened last night about Finn's a little upset that Seth basically walked out on Finn last night because, Triple H appeared on the Titantron and was, taunting Seth, and Seth saw Triple H and, left the ring to go to the back to try to find Triple H, which led Finn Balor to finish the match on his own and ultimately get defeated. And, Finn doesn't appreciate it. He thought, Seth betrayed him. And he's like, you're so wrapped up in Triple H that, you're neglecting your priorities, which is competing inside this very ring. And Seth's like, you don't understand, you don't get it because, you're still relatively new to the company, and you think Triple H is, on your side, because Seth's like, I know what it's like. I've been there before. However, when, he no longer needs you or he finds someone else, he will discard you like yesterday's garbage. And Finn's like, this has nothing to do with Triple H. In fact, this is between you and me about what you did last night. Because you walked out on me. Whether you meant to do it or not, you still walked out on me. And says like, if you have a problem with what I did last night, then why don't we settle things right now? And, they get face to face, and Christian comes out, and he's like, as general manager of Monday Night Raw, if you two have an issue with each other, then by all means, do not allow me to get in between both of you, because tonight, in the main event, it will be Finn Balor taking on Seth Rollins for the first time ever. So the main event will be Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor in the main event. And Seth Rollins is developing better performance skills, and the segment got a 79B rating, so a pretty good way to start the show. And the first match of the evening, and about that had subpar wrestling, little heat. Braun Strowman defeated Kalisto in 8:02 by pinfall with a running power slam. Kalisto had an in-ring performance of 51, and Braun Strowman 48. No worker improvements. The match got a 46D rating. So, just basically another match to get Braun Strowman over and build him up. And then backstage, we cut to Cesaro walking backstage. He's got a match coming up next, and then he walks by Sheamus, and Sheamus kind of like looks at him and laughs. He's like, having a rough go of it lately there, fella. And then he kind of smirks at Cesaro, and then Cesaro basically gets annoyed and ducks Sheamus, and and then Cesaro walks off with Sheamus like down on the ground, clutching his jaw. Because Sheamus is still injured, but he's just got a minor injury, but I don't want to, put him in the ring and risk further injury, so I'm just doing backstage stuff just to keep him on the show. The segment got a 64C rating. And our next match, in a bout that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat, Cesaro defeated Curtis Axel in 10:15 by pinfall with a neutralizer. Curtis Axel and Cesaro have great chemistry, and it showed in their performance. Curtis Axel had an in-ring performance of 54, and Cesaro had a 75 performance rating. No worker improvements. The match got a 70C plus rating. And then in our next segment, we do have the WWE Raw Tag Team Title Local Open Invitational, which, if you remember at Fall Brawl, after Red Dragon retained their titles against Breezango, they announced that starting on Raw that they will have an open local invitational challenge to anyone in that local area that Raw will be held at that time. So this is the first one that they're doing, and of course it's in Detroit, Michigan, so we got a couple of local competitors from Detroit, which is Remy Wilkins and Hakeem Zane. And Red Dragon are in the ring, and the referee's about ready to start the match when Christian's music hits, and out comes General Manager Christian, and he's like, guys, I'm, far be it from me from, butting into this match. This is a legal match and everything. However, while this contract was signed, I do have to let you know that another team had signed a contract to face you two tonight right before these two guys signed their names on a separate contract to face you guys. Now, as general manager of Monday Night Raw, it's my duty to pick the best match. And also, while this other team got their contract in first, I also think, in the spirit of fair competition, that this team should deserve a shot tonight more than these other two men do. And nothing to take away from you two in the ring right now. However, I personally know these two men. I've been in the ring with them, and I know what they're capable of. And they are indeed local competitors based right here in Detroit, Michigan. And Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are like looking at each other and at Christian confused, and they're like, this is a legal contract. We're, about ready to start the match. Clearly they're, confused, and they're kind of worried because they don't know who Christian's talking about. And they're, obviously these two guys, they're a couple no names, and they're looking to face, to have an easy match. But Christian's like, now I know, because if you remember, guys, you guys had the advantage when you guys won the tag team titles at SummerSlam. So, it's only fair if I introduce to you your actual opponents for tonight for the WWE Raw Tag Team titles. So, who is the team Christian's talking about? Drum roll. And that is none other than Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. And they come out, and they got a, decent reaction, not like a earth-shattering pop or anything, but enough people in the audience that knows who they are, and the fact that they are from Detroit, Michigan, so they got the hometown cheap pop. And Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley come to the ring, as they will be taking on Red Dragon for the Raw Tag Team titles tonight. Chris Sabin debuted his show stealer gimmick, which got a very good rating, and Alex Shelley debuted his cocky gimmick, which got a great rating. No worker improvements. That segment got a 52D plus rating, and on to the title match. In a bout that had decent wrestling but little heat, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin defeated Red Dragon in 7:49 when Alex Shelley defeated Bobby Fish by pinfall with a shell shock. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin win the WWE Raw Tag Team titles. Yes, so unfortunately this had to be done. Basically, as I mentioned before in the other episodes, I've mentioned how I didn't think Red Dragon were working out as champions. I know they had just debuted and they didn't have a lot of popularity. But another thing that, another negative to their reign, Bobby Fish is actually ranked 4 in the time decline. Now, in my time decline, the top 5 is The Undertaker, Kane, R-Truth, Bobby Fish, then Bully Ray. That's the top 5. Bobby Fish, number 4 on the time decline, which isn't good. So, I figured we need to get the titles off of them. And I could have put it back on Breezango. I could have, maybe put it on the Lucha Dragons, but if you couldn't tell, we need tag teams on Raw. We needed more tag teams. We needed to pad out the division. And I looked on it up and down NXT. I thought about calling up American Alpha. I thought about calling up a few other teams that I have signed. But I think Shelley and Sabin, they're the most main roster ready team at the moment that's in NXT. Now, okay, let me rephrase that. They're the most they are the most main roster team that I want to call up at the moment. There's a few other teams that I could have realistically called up that would be ready for the main roster, but I have other plans for them. I didn't want to use them for the spot, basically. And so yeah, Shelley and Sabin got the call up, and they're the new Raw Tag Team Champions. I know they're sort of like Red Dragon in the fact that they don't have great popularity, but they're younger. Neither of them are going to be on the time decline anytime soon, at least I hope not. This doesn't mean, Bobby Fish is going away. It just means that at least right now, they're not going to be featured as heavily as I would have liked them to be. Now, maybe Kyle O'Reilly has a future as a singles guy. Maybe down the road I can call up Roderick Strong and we can pair him with Kyle O'Reilly like they're doing in NXT right now in real life. Who knows? So yeah, Sabin had an in-ring performance of 54, Shelley 58, Fish 49, and Kyle O'Reilly 55. No worker improvements. The match got a 59C ratings, which isn't too bad when you compare them to other matches that Red Dragon had since being called up. So next segment. In a bout that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat, Bully Ray defeated Jack Swagger in 12-10 by pinfall with a Bubba Cutter. Swagger had an in-ring performance of 56, Bully Ray 58, no worker improvements. The match got a 62C rating, so just another match to build some momentum for Bully Ray. I actually had meant to put another backstage segment in between the tag title match and this match, but not a big deal. I have other backstage segments on the show. It's just when I was ordering them, ordering the segments before starting the show, I just forgot to put one in between the two matches to space it out. Oh well, no big deal. Next segment, backstage, Christian is in his office when the door opens and Christian looks up and in walks the Forgotten. Drew McIntyre kind of gets in Christian's face and he wants to know when John Cena will be back and when he will defend the Universal title against him. Or if not, when is Cena going to relinquish the Universal Championship? And Christian's like, Drew, as we've explained this before, John Cena has 30 days. He has not reached the 30 days yet, but rest assured, if he does not come back within the 30 days, we will strip him of the Universal Championship. However, you are not going to get a free ride to the title. You will not be handed the title. You will have to win it in a match. So you can get the idea of me handing you anything, because that's not going to work. This is not how Monday Night Raw works. And Drew is angry, obviously angry about this. He's like, listen, Christian, you may be retired, you may be the general manager, but don't cross me. I am the future of the Red brand. And if you don't like it, then, too bad, because one way or the other, I'm going to become Universal Champion. And then Christian's like, hey, I have nothing against you. And if you think you're the future of this brand, then by all means, prove it in the ring. Don't try to bully me, because that's not going to get you anywhere. And Drew's like, he kind of smirks at Christian. He's like, okay, but just remember, I won't be responsible for what I will do to everyone in this brand. And they walk off. And the segment got a 67C+ rating. So basically, Drew is impatient. Cena's still out with his injury, and Drew wants his title match. Whether or not he, gets it against Cena, or he has to win it in a tournament or a one-off match for the vacant Universal Championship down the road, one way or the other, Drew wants that title. And our next segment, Charlotte Flair comes out to the ring, and she gloats about beating everyone in the Raw Women's division, and the Queen is alone on her throne. She needs competition because, quite frankly, she's tired of beating Becky Lynch. She's tired of beating Natalya. She's tired of beating Emma. She's tired of beating everyone that's been thrown at her since her reign began. So please, someone step up and try to knock the Queen off of her throne. And then all of a sudden, Nikki Bella's music hits. She's been out injured for a while, but now she is back, and she is confronting Charlotte Flair. And, Nikki comes out to a pretty good pop. And she gets in the ring, and she's like, Charlotte, you like to talk a lot of smack, and trust me, you can back it up in the ring, but the only one that's going to be on their throne, it's me. I've been here for, much longer than you. I've held titles, I've held the women's title, I've held the Divas title, and I know we've had our differences before, but I'm back, and I'm officially challenging you to a match for that Raw Women's Championship. And Charlotte laughs. She's like, Nikki, please, what have you done to earn a title shot? You haven't done anything. You've been out with a hurt neck. So what makes you think you deserve a shot at the Queen? What, just because, you maybe date John Cena, that you can automatically waltz onto the show, onto my show that I've claimed, that I've dominated, just so you could try to get back in the spotlight? Well, it doesn't work that way, honey, because I'm Charlotte Flair. I am royalty. I am the queen of Monday Night Raw. And Nikki's like, okay, well, let's just put this to rest. I'm not here because who I date. Now, if we want to talk about personal lives, who's to say you're not here because of who your father is, who your last name is? You're a Flair. Your dad is Ric Flair. Please tell me that you're not here partly because of who your dad is. See, but hey, I'm not taking anything away from you. Your dad is Ric Flair. He's, arguably the greatest wrestler of all time, and you're a great wrestler in your own right. I'm not going to say that you don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve to be women's champion because you're a Flair. Just like I deserve to be women's champion, not because of who I date, but because of my ability to get things done inside that ring. So if you're really a queen, you will step up and face me like a woman, like a queen would do. And Charlotte laughed. She's like, you're funny, Nikki, but I'm just not feeling it. At least not right now. You just got back, and I'm going to spare you the embarrassment. So allow me to walk off and let you have the spotlight this one time, because I know you seek that attention. So I'm going to bid myself farewell for now, and I'm sure our paths will cross again. And Charlotte kind of like smugly smiles at Nikki and like bumps her shoulder and walks out of the ring while Nikki looks on, and Charlotte, kind of cockily walks up the ramp and looks back at Nikki and raises her title up in the air. So yeah, Nikki is returning, and she's evidently got her sights on Charlotte Flair. Now, originally, Nikki was drafted to SmackDown, but after looking at the rosters, much like the tag division, Raw needed more women on the roster, and they needed more baby faces, because the only baby faces on Raw on the women's side was Natalya and Becky Lynch, and both of them have already had title opportunities against Charlotte. So I needed another decent baby face to face Charlotte Flair. So, I felt Nikki, she had just returned from injury. I felt, hey, what better way, but what better person to challenge Charlotte Flair than Nikki Bella? So that segment got a 64C rating, and Nikki Bella is still a heel, so I'm in the process of turning her, but I'm not going to turn her right now because I need to build it up in segments before I do the turn. And then our next segment, we got a backstage segment. Heath Slater is walking around backstage, and he's, trying to find a tag team partner, and he comes across Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan's wearing his sheet mask, and he's like, "Whoa, big man, I've got an important question to ask you. Could you please, take off that mask?" And Rowan kind of, tilts his head sideways and kind of, looking at Slater, and he takes off his sheet mask, and he, continues looking at Heath. He's like, "Big man, I know, ever since you and the Wyatt family, you've gone your separate ways, you've been kind of lost. And I know you're used to being in a team. And luckily for you, I'm looking for a tag team partner. So what do you say, you and me go out there tonight and start a great tag team? We have a lot in common because, and he kind of pauses for a second. He's like, we both had red hair, you got hair on your chin, I've got hair on my head, it's both red. We've got a lot in common. And Rowan kind of looks at Heath again, and he's like, "I'll see you in the ring." So yeah, they're going to be teaming up here. And that segment got a 56 C- rating. And in the next match, in a bout that had subpar wrestling and little heat, Breezango defeated Eric Rowan and Heath Slater in 9:25 when Tyler Breeze defeated Heath Slater by pinfall with a beauty shot. Heath Slater had an in-ring performance of 45, Eric Rowan 44, Fandango 46, and Tyler Breeze 52. And the match got a 53 C- rating. And then after the match, Heath Slater is like down on the mat and he's kind of upset because he cost the match for him and Rowan. And Rowan kind of looks at Heath, and Rowan extends his hand to Heath, and Heath grabs it. Rowan picks him up, helps him to his feet, and then he clotheslines Slater, and then he picks him up and gives him a fall away slam. And Rowan walks out on Slater, and Slater is left laying in the ring. So that segment got a 60 C rating. And our next match, in a decent match, Rusev defeated Zack Ryder in 13-16 by submission with an accolade. Rusev makes defense number 9 of his WWE United States title. Ryder and Rusev don't click. Ryder had an in-ring performance of 41, Rusev 66. Zack Ryder's improving in performance skills. The match got a 60 C rating. After the match, Rusev and Lana celebrate in the ring, and Rusev grabs a mic and he gloats that he just made his 9th defense of the United States Championship. And next week is going to be a monumental occasion because next week it will be October 10th, and ironically enough, it will be his 10th U.S. title defense. So he says, it's going to be my 10th title defense on the 10th month, on the 10th day. So as of right now, I'm going to open up my challengers. I'm going to open the U.S. Open Challenge to anyone to sign the contract starting now. And to make this even more perfect, I am going to give anyone a chance to sign the contract until 10 p.m. next Monday night. So if you want to face Rusev for the United States Championship next week on Raw and be the victim number 10 of the greatest United States champion of all time, Rusev, step up to the plate and prepare to get crushed. So that segment got a 63 C rating. So yeah, Rusev just announcing that another open challenge next week on Raw, which will be his 10th U.S. title defense. And next week will be October 10th. So, numbers 10, 10, 10, 10. And he's saying, to keep up with the 10 theme, it's going to be happening on the 10 o'clock hour on Monday Night Raw next week. So it'll be interesting to see who accepts Rusev's challenge next week. All right, and the main event in a decent match, Finn Balor drew with Seth Rollins at 14:21. When both competitors failed to beat a 10 count, the match had interference from the Forgotten as they came out and attacked both men, which caused the bout to end in a draw. Finn Balor had an in-ring performance of 55, Seth Rollins 78. Finn Balor is improving in performance skills, and the match got a 58 C- rating. And the final segment of the show, basically the Forgotten are doing a beat down on Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. Then when all of a sudden someone slides in and starts attacking the Forgotten, and come to find out it's none other than Randy Orton. He comes into the ring, gets an RKO on Sandow, gets an RKO on Barrett, gets an RKO on Cody Rhodes and Ryback, and then finally Drew McIntyre. So he comes in and completely cleans house and saves both Balor and Rollins. So Randy Orton has returned from his injury that he had, and he has interjected himself and saved Balor and Rollins against the Forgotten. So worker improvements, let's see. Average. And the segment got a 73B minus rating. And we end the show, and the show got a 62C rating, which kind of a bummer. Oh, definitely a bummer. The show kind of sucked. I guess I used Balor too much, which, I don't know if Finn Balor's going to work out, because I try to put him in main event angles, trying to get him wins on lower cards, trying to boost up his popularity, but he just doesn't seem to catch on. I mean, I'm going to keep trying, obviously, because he's still, relatively new, but hopefully, we can get him to a decent position on the card, because he was at a mid card. Then after Fall Brawl, I checked again, and he's auto pushing at it as an enhancement talent. So, yeah, we obviously need to do some work on him, but we'll keep going, and hopefully we'll turn her around for Finn, and that will do it for now. So until the next episode, SmackDown Live, take care.